Friends, we have with us Shri Amarjit Chopra ji, CA Amarjit Chopra ji, the former president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. It's a privilege that he has been associated with our organization since the inception of the society. I will request Avinash Gupta, member NRIC, to welcome Amarjit Chopra ji to this seminar. Avinash.
So thank you, Ravi ji, for providing me this opportunity to welcome our own past president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, none other than C. Amarjit Chopra ji, who is presently member of NAFRA also and part of the disciplinary mechanism of the institute. So, sir, because we have paucity of time, I am not giving you detailed introduction of sir, and everybody knows about the sir in the CA fraternity is one who is well known in everybody. So just to save time, I welcome you, sir, on behalf of Tax and Law Educare Society and on my personal behalf also. Welcome, sir.
Friends, we all know Dr. C. Amarjit Chopra ji for such a long time, and he is a wonderful speaker on the budget, on the impact of the budget on the economy. But today, because of restraint of time, we may not be able to hear him in detail. Sir, your remarks regarding the budget maybe in 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi ji, and thank you, Avinash ji. And of course, Dr. Girish Ahuja ji, the guru of gurus, basically, and Arun Ahuja ji, and Sanjeev Singhal ji, and if Atul ji is there, I can acknowledge his presence also in that particular case and the participants. I will only start with one line that this is one budget which is well directed and well balanced. Any budget which comes in the wake of an economic survey which talks of 11% contraction in an economy, basically 7.7% contraction in an economy, and then plans for a growth of 11%, which may work out to about 2.5% over a period of 2 years on an average. But the fact remains that the economy has gone through one of those kind of pandemics, one of those kind of crises, which is absolutely unparalleled in the century. And to combat that, I personally feel whenever people used to ask me the questions whether there could be a relief under 80C or any other section, in my various channel talks, I said that it is not going to be there because the government doesn't have the money, the government doesn't have the resources to do that particular part for that matter. And I'm so glad that my views have come true on that particular aspect. The other thing is that people were expecting certain cess to be levied. That cess has not come in. And when people learned about the petroleum and diesel cess and thought that probably the price of diesel and petrol is going to rise, immediately it was clarified that the finance minister has very clearly said that whatever increase in the excise duty here is concerned, it is going to be compensated by the decrease in the custom duty somewhere else. So that's not going to be the case. The only, I think one of the features that is there is that today the fiscal deficit is at about 9.5%. It has been targeted at 6.7%. And more importantly, to me, the target for the disinvestment last year was more than 2 lakh crore, out of which only 15,000 crore has been achieved. And out of that also, only two of the public sector undertakings disinvestment, that's the HAL and of course the Indian Railway Catering Services, that has contributed more than 50%. So my own hunch is that this is one budget where you are talking of a 30 lakh crore budget in that particular scenario. Agricultural sector has grown and agricultural sector grew at 3.4%, and that in fact was the only sector which has grown. And today they have actually devoted a lot of funds to the agricultural sector. And what they have gone on to say is that agricultural sector credit will go up to 16.5 lakh crore, which presently must be in the range of about, you can say, 12 to 13 lakh crore, which is something very good so far as the agricultural sector is concerned. They are trying to strengthen the APMCs, etc. And also at the same time, I think the capital expenditure has been budgeted at a very high figure. They have said that 5 lakh crore will be spent on the capital expenditure between 22 to 25, which is again a very good sign. what is more important to be understood is that this economy had gone through a particular phase in which the unemployment had increased. I think from that perspective, if you ask me, this particular budget is going to create employment. Even the scrapping policy which has come in, basically, for the personal vehicles, they are talking of 20 years. For the commercial vehicles, they are talking of 15 years. One good thing that is going to happen is that number one, electro steel furnace industry is going to go up in that particular case, and also the scrap business is going to go up. And this is one sector which is labor intensive, and labor intensive is going to create employment in a very large way. 8,500 crores, 8,500 kilometers of the highways are to be built in the next year, which is again labor intensive. And I think this is again one of those moves which is going to create a lot of employment opportunity. The bank shares went up yesterday. If you really ask me, the entire stock market has given the finance minister 23 gun salute. Normally it is at 21 gun salute, but yesterday it has been given 23 gun salute. 20 more than the Sensex went up by more than 2,300 points yesterday. One of the main reasons was that you announced the asset reconstruction company, which will take over the bad loans, and the bank's balance sheets will be cleaned, and this undercapitalization scenario will also go off. And then you undertake a recapitalization of the banks to the extent of about 20,000 crore rupees, which is a very, very healthy sign. And then you also talk at the same time of the developmental financial institution, which you are going to create. I think this has been one of the standing demands in the financial sector, which will improve the debt sector. And in this case, what has been said is that 20,000 crores will be set up, will be given by the government, and that the target given to the financial institution, the developmental financial institution, will be that they are able to create a debt of about 5 lakh crores in those cases. So MSMEs again has been given tremendous importance, and I think this is one area, because Mr. Sikri was talking of the employment. I personally feel if at all you want to improve the economy, 49% of our exports are through the MSMEs. And if MSME sector improves, I think everything improves. MSME needs to be subsidized. And I think the government has tried to give a lot of impetus so far as the MSMEs are concerned. Insurance sector, one of the sectors in which they've talked that one of the companies will be privatized. And of course, the other part that they've said is that the FDI, which was up to now 49% to be allowed, it is going to be 74% of the FDI, which will be allowed in the case of the insurance sector. So I think so far as banking and insurance is concerned, they have been able to do a reasonable, good job. So far as the power discoms, again, they have been provided funds, and they have been the consumer has been given the opportunity that he can choose. Like in Delhi, if at all there are two power discoms, he may have the opportunity to choose any one of those. Of course, there are going to be some technical issues which may require to be sorted out in the periods to come. But to me, there are certain things like in the auto sector, scrapping of these cars again is going to give a boost to the auto sector also in certain cases. Health sector has been given tremendous importance. More than 64,000 crore rupees has been set aside for the health sector. Out of that, 35,000 crore rupees has been set aside for only vaccination. So that's again one of the very important things. And when you talk of simplification of laws, I think in the company law, they have been able to introduce the simplification. They have been able to introduce simplification in the income tax with regard to the senior citizens, with regard to the TDS on the dividend, with regard to, and there are certain things which they have been able to see that wherever some camouflaging, some kind of a window dressing was happening, like goodwill at the time of merger and amalgamation, which was being created and then amortization being claimed, they have done away with that. I think the litigation is going to reduce on that. The difference between the slump sale and slump exchange, basically, which was a point of controversy, that has been resolved. The making the things faceless is again going to improve the situation. I think this is creating some kind of situations where probably the simplification is going to take place and the corruption is going to be reduced. Yes, if I talk from the company law point of view, one thing that I will like to tell Sanjeev Singhal ji, is in the council. The council will have to take a decision and will have to approach the government. The moment you have actually raised the limit for the small companies, and also you have also said that OPCs are going to have no limits. In that case, the CARO application also in those cases will have to undergo a difference, will have to undergo a change, because CARO is not applicable to small companies and is not applicable to certain private companies up to a particular turnover. And if you are changing the definition of small companies, probably the CARO's applicability will also undergo a change. And OPC now being made without any limits, basically, you can have any kind of turnover or paid up capital. I will like to only suggest, Sanjeev, that you can go back to the council and try to discuss whether individual proprietaries can also form OPCs. Because if you form OPCs, you will have the limited liabilities in those cases, because there is no debate on OPCs not being the professional firms. So I think this is going to be one of those opportunities where we should be looking at somewhere or the other. And the other thing that one will like to mention is that, yes, there are two things which may not be that good from the profession's viewpoint. Number one is the abolition of the GST audit. It has been withdrawn. But if you get into the reasons of the GST Council, whatever GST Council has said, that it has been withdrawn primarily because of the performance. Let's be very clear about it. And because if you get into the minutes of those, it very clearly says, because somewhere or the other, the chartered accountants, when recommending, those recommendations were not as high for additional tax, additional GST, as has been the GSTR returns otherwise. So there they said that probably the performance has also been one of the criteria, and of course the high cost of compliance has been one of the criteria. The institute will do well to take it up with the various authorities in that particular case. And to my mind, the other thing is that the tax audit limit being raised from 5 crore to 10 crores, wherever the 95% of the transactions are digital. I think the government has a feeling that wherever there are digital transactions, probably the government is able to create a data bank, and if they mine it, probably the things are going to improve going to be audited on a self-audit basis. My humble submission will be that this is one budget which can create, of course, from the profession's viewpoint, there has been some kind of a disappointment. But if I look from the economy's point of view, we have been, I think Sikri Saab said, Honorable Justice, that there is a direction towards privatization. It's very, very clear. You are talking of ports, you are talking of gas lines, gas pipelines, etc. You are talking of stadiums to be privatized. I think this is a very good sign in one way, that ultimately we need to be very clear on that particular part. So my request to the profession will be to rise to the occasion and to ensure that we are able to deliver in the various fields that we are supposed to deliver. But I am clear that this budget will definitely go to mitigate the hardship of the unemployment, will go to boost the agricultural sector, will go to boost the highways, the roadways, because 18,000 crores has been laid out for the public buses itself. So I think wherever you look at, railways has been given record 1.1 lakh crore rupees as a consequence thereof. So wherever you will go, you will find that this budget is going to go do good so far as the economy is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Amarjit ji, for your very well thought of introduction to the budget. The main key highlights of the budget you have very well brought out. Thank you so much.